Hey, good afternoon. Miguel Loy, host of Chamber Live. Got to clear my throat. DJ Cool style. All right. So anyway, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Chamber Live. And so as we do here, we kind of took the month of July off last month because folks had stuff to do. But we're back at it. So today on Chamber Live, we're going to have a great conversation with two folks who are entrepreneurs in the education space, Freddie Taylor with Urban Intellectuals and Amber Woolfolk with her tutoring, Solve Tutoring company. So without further ado, let me bring in my co-host, Rock. What's going on, Raquel Hill?
Hey, Miguel, all is well. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine. Mm-hmm.
All right. So all is well. Everything is good. Just happy to be here again. Yes, people took vacations. We took the month of July off. So that means about 16 events have happened between the time we last broadcast and today's broadcast. So
Yeah.
can't wait to tell you about what you may have missed. And then
Yep.
later on, we'll tell you about what's happening in the future.
Yeah, so great. So for everybody to tune in to Facebook, you also can be tuning to this on YouTube as well. So make sure you follow us on the YouTubes, as that is also where we are, and we'll kind of run down all the other social aspects of where we are. But let's jump into your recap, my sister.
All right. So, everybody, again, welcome to Chamber Live. And if you haven't been plugged in for the last 2 months, here's what you may have missed. We had our very first Friday that we hadn't had in about 2 years since the pandemic, and it was amazing. It happened at the Georgia Metropolitan College, and it was a great turnout, great guest speakers, and it was great to get outside and mingle with other chamber members. Um, we also had our shotgun and trap. Now, if you know about the chamber, you know that it consists of various subcommittees and affinity groups. So the veterans entrepreneurs, they did their thing with shotgun and trap in the month of June. They also did something in July, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Our Global Opportunities Committee launched in the month of June. So you got the opportunity to meet Ricardo Barris, who is our newly appointed chair of Global Opportunities. The difference between Global Opportunities and transportation logistics is Global Opportunities is about opportunities that are happening in like Lagos and Brazil and being engaged in a global market. We had a huge event at the gathering spot. The YEC kicked off one of their signature events with the Millennium Wealth Building Summit, hosted by chairs Keela Taylor and Brill Daly. They did the thing. We had dynamic panels about real estate and insurance, and we talked a little bit about the blockchain and crypto space. And then I think this month or July, I can't take no more days off. We had our Women's League, our fourth annual Women's League tea, where if you had the opportunity to look at our Facebooks and our Instagram, you saw all the lovely ladies from the Women's League dressed in their gloves and their hats and their fascinators. And there was an amazing hat contest, and the winner was awarded a $50 gift card to the wellness spot, which is where we held this event. Great things happen with the chamber. So if I still got a little bit of camera time, I'm gonna go back and talk about the events that I kind of skimmed over. So monthly, we have the South Metro Mixer that happened the first Tuesday of every month, 6 p.m. down in Ellenwood. There's opportunity for anyone who lives outside of the perimeter going towards the airport to come on down and tell us about your business and join the chamber. We also had a prostate cancer awareness month for the men because June is men's month, and we try to hold activities that are male focused. Let the brothers get the stage for a moment. There was a conversation with Teddy Aston. Teddy Aston is a member of the chamber, who's also a member of the Arts and Entertainment Committee. Teddy talked to us about his long-standing career and how he met Prince, and I think he took Prince to the movies. This was back when Prince was first starting out in his career, and there were some amazing stories. And all of these videos you guys can find on our Facebook page. If you click on the videos, you can get some popcorn and binge watch the Atlanta Black Chambers network. The Training and Professional Development Committee underneath the newly appointed chair, Jarvis Gray, held 2 events. They do these monthly. One was about building a business, and the other was about creating business stability. Great content in there. And again, if you guys are following us, especially on Facebook, go back and again, click videos, grab your popcorn and binge watch and receive some education. Sisters Self Protection, which was hosted by our very own Tangi Miller, Marine Corps vet, out of the Veterans Entrepreneur Group. We also had our virtual open house. And then again, every last Tuesday of the month, now we got the first Tuesday thing going on, but every last Tuesday of the month with our partner, the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurship, we have a crypto, let me see, I'll have blockchain and digital currency sessions where we talk about anything from NFTs to Web3 to diodes, and it's not, out of context. You receive education. So look for more coming from our FinTech subcommittee that we have out of the Financial Services Committee, that is chaired by our very own Corey Henry. So again, I think I got to mention all 16 events. We do, the YEC had a YEC members only. YEC Redefined happened last night. I know it was hot. I can't wait to check out the YEC's Instagram page, but us over are not allowed to peek in on these events. But Keela,
man, I come and go where I want. Tell Miss Keela, I'm coming to some of their events because their events are hot. They had an amazing event, as you mentioned, at the Gathering Spot about a week or two ago. I was so impressed with how they produced that event. Guys, if you guys aren't involved with the Atlanta Black Chambers, if you are sleeping because there are some amazing things. It's hard for us all to keep up. As we mentioned, the event that the women's leagues are doing, our veterans committee is really, really stepping up. We got a real estate professional development committee. They're doing some amazing stuff. Traffic and professional development, South Metro. There is no excuse. There's plenty of opportunities for you to get connected. And there's amazing opportunities to grow your business within the chamber. We also, what we didn't talk about is the new ABC Marketplace, which you and I are really spearheading, which is an opportunity for people to share their marketing, their products and services. And so if you follow us on on Facebook, make sure you search ABC Marketplace, and there you'll be able to join. Everyone can join. Only people who are members can post, but everyone can, just like them all. You can come in, you can have a store there if you're a member, but if you're not a member, you can still browse. You can still do business with the people in the chamber. We're very intentional about making sure our people are making money, and that's the bottom line. And so we're looking forward to seeing you all on them social streets out here in the marketplace. So great recap. We appreciate you, sis. Of course, you are doing your thing as always. And so we're gonna have a great show here today. There's a lot of folks. I'm really excited about these two guests that we're gonna have here today, and there's a couple of reasons. Amber Woolfolk is a member of our organization. She lives here in the Atlanta area, and she's doing amazing things. And we were very intentional this month because what we wanted to do was make sure that this is the time. My kids just went back to school yesterday, first day of school, and here in Georgia, people say, "What? Y'all going back to school? It's only August." Yep, in Georgia, they go back to school at the beginning of August. I remember growing up in Virginia, we didn't go back to school till after Labor Day, which is a month from now. So there's some districts that are not going back, but in Georgia, they go back to school now. So it's a perfect time for you to start to set up those situations. If you need tutoring for your kids, to make sure that they're making it to the next level. We want to make sure that they are there. We want to make sure there's opportunities for you to have your children succeed. The other guest we're going to have is a brother by the name of Freddie Taylor. Freddie, I met a few years back, but I met Freddie, at least I knew about Freddie's product before I met him, and this is one of his products. It is a kind of a game room. You're at the house, you're playing spades, you kind of whip out these cards, but he's very intentional about the African diaspora. This brother's planning a trip to Africa for his community in the next couple of years. He's got another his original cards, which are like flashcards. I bought those cards before I knew Freddie, and then I met him at Traffic Sales and Profit, which is an event that Lamar Tyler and their organization are also members of the chamber. They put on this event, and if you don't know Lamar Tyler and Traffic Sales and Profit, you're missing it. I know Freddie is in Traffic Sales and Profit. I believe that Amber is also in Traffic Sales and Profit as well, and so we'll talk about those as well. Excuse me. And so we're gonna get right into it. Our first guest, we're gonna bring in Freddie first because I want to talk to him about his community. I want to talk about his products. I want to talk about everything he's got going on because this brother is dope. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Both of our guests are dope. Because I really want to bring Freddie in. Is very strategic because I want to talk when all four of them, when all four of us on the screen, about how we can utilize those products in the tutoring space and how we can always connect. That's always very, very intentional when I do that. Brother Freddie, how you doing, man?
Hey, good brother. How you doing? How you doing?
Man,
My
I'm
camera a
good. I'm
little
good.
low.
All right, no problem, no problem. So, Freddie Taylor, owner of Urban Intellectuals. Freddie, meet the lovely Raquel Hill, operations manager here, and all things fabulous with the chamber. But I wanted to bring you on. First of all, thank you for accepting the invitation, my brother. I appreciate you. If you follow Freddie on Instagram or Facebook, or I think he's on the TikToks and all now, I'm purposely sounding like an OG, but but tell us a little bit about yourself, brother. How did you get into the space where you are now?
My name's Freddie Taylor. I'm the CEO and founder of Urban Intellectuals. We make it fun and easy to learn Black history. And we do that a variety of different ways, but we mainly have products and services that write the Black community back into the pages of world history and back into the hearts and the minds of our community. I got into this space, picture it, 1929, right? No, but my father was born in 1929 and he had me later on in life. When he was 46, my mom was 40, so I'm like that child, right, with the older parents.
Yeah.
But he lived through a lot of the Black history that we talk about today, and he thought it was really important that he imparted that the importance of history onto me, and I grabbed it. I remember he used to pay me $10 for each chapter in the little chapter books that I would read, right? So I needed some money. That's part of what I would do. But yeah, so I was really inspired by that. So when I had my children, that's what I wanted to pass along. But I didn't have the tools and the resources to really pass it along correctly. I used to lecture to my children, right, about Black history and the current state of affairs, which is kind of the wrong thing to do, right? You kind of turn them off in that manner. But then once they got older and I started to reflect, I started to think about the things that parents need in order to pass this important stuff along to their children and impart it on their hearts. So that's how we got into the space of creating the products and services that I wish I would have had when I was coming up, and especially when I was raising my children.
Man, I'll tell you, when I found your product, and my kids got it somewhere in the house. I've been looking for them, so that's why I've got these. This is your newer product, but I know you probably got some obviously right there where you are. But your flashcards are amazing, man, and they really, a whole series of them there, Black History flashcards, brother. And so these are products. Here's what we know. It's interesting. I took my middle school daughter to school to meet her teachers, and one of the first ones I met is social studies, I believe. And he intentionally said, "Yes, we're going to learn about Europe and we're going to learn about all of these." He named every continent except Africa.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I said, I'm not going to get into this debate with this man right now because it's not the time or the place. But the fact that we need products and services like yours because they just never want to tell our stories.
Yeah. We're being left out of the pages of history, right? We're being left out of the conversation. And when you dig into our history, you find out that we've contributed so much, right, to humanity, to not only the global African diaspora, but to the human family. In fact, without us, the human family wouldn't be where it's at today. And I've just learned over time that it's critically important that we instill these lessons into our children so that they can grow up and not only have the self-confidence and self-love of who they see in the mirror, but that they can embrace our brothers and sisters when they meet them on the street, or they meet them in Angola, or they meet them in, Kenya, South Africa, Tanzania, or whatever the case may be. We start to close this gap because what we need is each other, but it starts with the information and the love of self.
Talk about how you are so unapologetically Black in your perspective, because once we get out here and start going hard for our people, and all of a sudden they want to put us in a pigeonhole, and I look over your shoulder and see some amazing people, many that I know, some that I don't, and I'm always looking to keep my eyes out and learn about more people. But tell us about how in your business you've made a decision, and let me make sure I put this out in the marketplace. Your business has earned 7 figures.
Oh yeah, annually.
And so this is not no mom. It's a mom and pop, but my brother is doing very well in his business. And so Tell us about how that is received in the marketplace, whether you go out and pursue financing or different things, because obviously you ain't afraid.
Yeah, and I believe in self-sufficiency, right? So one of
Mm-hmm.
these brothers over my shoulder, I don't know what side he on over here,
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Garvey, right? We're
Yeah,
always talking, yeah, Garvey, there you go,
there
he's
he
right
is.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Always talking about self-sufficiency, and that's really the model that I try to live in my life and definitely in my business, right? So you have to watch who you're taking money from, who you're going into business with. Otherwise, you can't speak as freely as
Mm-hmm.
I do, but I can do that because our core audience love our message. They understand it. They support us. And that's where we get our funding from. So we don't have to capitulate on issues and topics that others might not broach or talk about because our audience is expecting us to do it and they love us for it, right? Are there naysayers in the audience? Absolutely. There are trolls from
Absolutely.
other communities. There are trolls inside the Black community telling, brother, everybody needs to, everybody. Well, listen, you go serve everybody. We gonna serve our people that love, honor, respect what we doing, and we just gonna stay focused. So I stay focused on what we're doing. But really, the support of the community gives me the confidence to continue to fight that our ancestors were on, right? So
Busy
that's really
making
what
my ancestors proud. Is that one of your shirts?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But that knowing the plight of the ancestors and things that they went through just allow me to stay unapologetically Black and pushing forward for our future and living the dream that Garvey was once envisioning for us.
Yeah. So, this is my brother's website, Urban Intellectuals. I'm sure everything that you see here, you can grab here on his website, without a doubt. I'm just so proud of you. You mentioned that your community are the ones who are taking care of you. If you were to put a number on the balance between operational income that are coming from products sold, or you obviously taking that and leveraging that into getting other resources, are you doing much of that? And if you are going out and leveraging, what sort of banks and what sort of financing options are you using to continue to grow your business?
Yeah, we're not taking financing at this point, right? This is actually, you mentioned Lamar Tyler. He's my mentor, right? I'm in his mastermind inside of TSP. Great
Mm-hmm.
brother. Him and his
Mm-hmm.
wife, Ronnie, run
Yeah.
a tremendous organization. But he says that's one of the holes in my business, right? Is that I'm not leveraging financing effectively. So that's something that I'm looking to get into, but I'm a little apprehensive, right? Like we grew up
Uh-huh.
with, don't you get no credit? Don't you, you know, you better watch that. Like that leads to trouble, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a little apprehensive, but this is, I mean, if we're going to go to 10 million a year or 50 million a year, obviously you're going to have to start using other people's money. So that's something I'll be venturing into, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little nervous about it.
Man, I appreciate your honesty, because someone would assume someone who's doing as well as you're doing, and that is something that we know. We know as Black folks, we are it's scared to. It's so funny. We'll be quick to go get a car, but when it comes down to leveraging something that we know is going to help us to make money, a lot of times there's hesitation there, and that's something we've got to get past. Raquel, you got anything, sis?
So before you jump off, I kind of want this to marinate in you because I want Amber to talk about this a little bit when it comes to the tutoring space. But critical race theory, there's been buzz around, and we haven't heard people talk about it as of late. But it came out, it was hot, it pissed off a lot of people, it brought a lot of people together. But it is basically saying that race is a cultural I want to say invention
Mm-hmm. Right.
that has been
Racism. Right.
applied to
Mm-hmm.
people of color. So
Mm-hmm.
just that will be something for you to be marinating on in the back room. We bring Amber out here so we can get the full conversation about that, as well as Project 1619. The buzz that was around that at one point. We were in the pandemic, a lot of time to research and review what happened to us, and then just how those types of conversations have impact the type of product that you're putting out. You gonna come out
I
with a
love
radical line?
it. I'll save a little bit of it, but I just believe in true actual history, like teach the
Mm-hmm.
children the truth,
Yeah.
and let the cards fall where they may. But I know why the powers that be are worried about the truth, because the foundation of the country isn't built upon it. So when people start to learn these things, they start to act and move in different ways. So I can understand why they're trying to sweep things under the rug. But fortunately, it's organizations like ours that we're not trying to have that.
Right. No doubt, and that we're very intentional about that. We have a few people who have made some comments, and we're gonna bring those up a little bit. Definitely getting those from my household. That's Trisha Jones. We appreciate you, sis. I want you guys. Don't forget that we want you guys to drop your comments in the space here, because we want to make sure that we can promote your businesses. And towards the end of the show, we're going to pull up some of your business. So drop your name, your business, your website, contact information, so that we can go ahead and pull that information in later. And then there's some sponsorship opportunities as well we want to talk about. Freddie, can you stay in for? I want to bring Amber in, and then I want to bring you all in together in about 15 minutes so we can have a group conversation.
Absolutely, brother. I'm here for you.
All right, cool. All right, bet. So great beginning conversation with Freddie. Freddie Taylor, as I mentioned, is a dope dude. He's an Omega. I ain't gonna hold that against him. I love to tease my fellow frat brothers. But much love to him. So great conversation, man. I'm telling you, this products, man. I really love these products. Because a lot of stuff, you've got to put this stuff out in the marketplace. You got to put this stuff in your house. Let's see if I get in the camera. You got to put this type of stuff in your house so people are incentivized to learn things. Because as we know, they're not teaching us every day about A. Philip Randolph, right? So this is the type of information that is in these cards. A. Philip Randolph, Andrew Rube Foster. I don't know who Andrew Rube Foster is, but I know now because I got him right here in these cards. And so we're going to talk about that. But our next guest, as we mentioned, Amber Woolfolk. Amber Woolfolk is a member of our chamber, very active member of our chamber, doing amazing things. She's got a few locations, and she's handling tutoring and things all in the community. And let me bring in my sister, Amber Woolfolk. Good afternoon, sister. How you feeling?
I'm doing great. Good afternoon. I'm so glad to be here.
Oh man, we're so happy to have you here. This is one of our superstars in the chamber. And if I remember correctly, didn't you and actually was it the IKEA grant? You got one of the grants earlier in the year.
So I applied for the IKEA grant, and it was actually I ended up being not overlooked, but like kind of pushed up to the
What happened was we knew the FiServ and the IKEA grant were both coming down the line. So they were there at the same time. So it's not like we were like, you can't have this little $5,000 one. We were like, who will be a good candidate? Everyone that has submitted themselves to get this bigger FiServ one. And we faked you out and had you thinking you were coming to an event to help us set up. And then you came and you were presented with a bigger, but I'm gonna let you finish. I just want you to know you were considered from the beginning.
Well, that was Miguel. Miguel dropped the ball on that. I knew it was a grant that she got. It wasn't IKEA. It was FiServ. Tell us about that experience with receiving the FiServ grant before we get into the interview.
So that grant came in right at the beginning of the year, and it was amazing because it helped us keep our doors open. I did not realize at the time how impactful that grant was going to be, but I love serving the chamber. And so Raquel called and said, "Hey, can you help us?" And I'm like, "Sure." I will always tell you all yes, because I absolutely love you guys. You're like an extension of my family. And so the day of the event, I felt like a superstar, rock star. I don't do the work that I do for the notoriety or to be seen, but that day I really felt seen. I felt like I felt being put up on a pedestal, like just the photo ops and all the opportunity, the certificate that we received and all of the support that we received from the chamber and FiServ was great. And I hope I'm saying it right.
No, you are. So let's jump into your business. So tell us about Solve Tutoring and what you do in that work.
So Solve Tutoring provides tutoring and test prep for 3rd through 12th grade students and even college students and adult learners. We, during the pandemic, we realized that there were a lot of adult learners who were returning to the workforce or pivoting. They wanted to learn more about different opportunities, and they needed help with math and writing skills. They needed to brush up on Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and pre-calculus. And so we worked with many high school and middle school students to get through the pandemic. They had like mental blocks and things like that, and focusing on all the core curriculum. We don't just do math or reading, we do all subjects. And so if your student needs help with biology, chemistry, trigonometry, pre-calc, we can help them with anything. We're the one-stop shop, and we even help with Spanish and French. And so that's one of the things that sets us apart from the other big store franchises in the community. Like some just focus on math and reading. Well, my student needs help with all things STEM, or they just need help with academic coaching or executive functioning. My child is not organized, or they are poor with time management skills. We help with tutoring, test prep, academic coaching, and executive functioning. And those are some of the things that students, if you're not teaching them that, they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to study. So we hold your student's hand. We help the busy families that may have a single household income, or they may they may live in a Title I school district, and we are an affordable option in the community.
So what got you into tutoring?
So what got me into tutoring is I was kind of fell on a hard time in life, and my kids took a hit academically, and I could not find an affordable tutoring resource, and definitely not one that looked like me. And so at the time I said, you know what, I need to find a solution, because not only are my kids needing help, there are other parents. I'm having these conversations. We're sitting in the bleachers, we're out on the football field, and I started to gauge the community and find out, are there other children that are struggling? And so one day I was coaching basketball up in Roswell at the rec, and I asked all my players, I said, raise your hand if you need help with math. They all raised their hands. And then I said, okay, raise your hand if you need help with Spanish. And they all raised their hands. They were all struggling in their own situation, but we weren't having those conversations. And I've always told my kids that you are a sum of the 5 people closest to you.
Right.
So if my starters are missing from the floor because they didn't do their homework, or they needed help, or they got a poor grade, if they're hurting, that means we're hurting. We're hurting, then we need to figure out what the problem is. And I grew up, my father was a basketball coach. He has taken students to the Final Four, the 5-star basketball camps and things like that. The same issues that basketball players and football players, athletes overall, have been having since 1990 are the same issues they're having in 2022. And then you talk about critical race theory and things like that, where we're not being taught what we need to know. And we don't have people in the community that look like us, that have a company that says, okay, we're here. We're not in a Starbucks. We're not at Panera Bread, tutoring in a little cubby. This is a brick and mortar that you can come to, and we're going to be there 7 days a week, consistently, day in and day out. Pillar in the community and here for you when you need us. That is what I felt we were lacking.
How many locations do you have?
So I currently have 3 locations. We have a location in Riverdale, Georgia, one in College Park, and there's our 3rd location is in Roswell. Got it.
So a little bit north of the city, in the South Fulton area, relatively, and then College Park. Got it. And so,
students virtually. So
you're also doing virtually. Okay.
Right. We have students working with us virtually. We've got kids in New York. We've got kids out in California and in Florida. I think we have a couple in Virginia as well. So when you talked about VA, I was like, okay.
That's that. Hey, that's all good. Don't get me talk about my VA roots now. That's home for me. That's you see her website or Facebook page, one of her locations. So you talk a lot about. I asked a question about your student. You love student athletes. Obviously, you were a student athlete. You were a coach, a father, and so it's almost an obvious question: why student athletes? Why are they a focus of yours?
Well, student athletes, I wanted to help them more so not because of the actual athlete, but the parent of the student athlete. The parent of the student athlete is stretched extremely thin. They are managing work. They may have multiple children in the household playing multiple sports, and they're trying to balance being a parent, a coach, like a support person for a student, and also just juggling all those balls. I remember I had both of my kids, they were playing 5 sports between both of them at the same time. And thank God at the time I was working for a company that gave me flexibility. I had flex time, 10, 15 years ago before it was in, right? Yeah. I could commute and it wasn't an issue, but my peers couldn't. So I found myself being the mom that would shuttle all the football team. Like, we're going to get the star players to practice. We need to make sure homework is done and they have something in their stomachs because their parents aren't home. Their parents may not even make their practice or their game. I may be picking them up, feeding them, helping them with their homework, and then dropping them off at home, or waiting, keeping them home with me until their parents can pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
And so because I was raised in an athletic environment, I knew what it took. And there's a lot of moving pieces for our student athletes. And sometimes they just need someone to kind of hold their hand and keep them going, because from the time that they wake up till they go to sleep, someone else is telling them where they need to be and what they need to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
There's very little time for executive functioning skills, like, just making sure that they're getting the work done and that they have had an opportunity to eat and that they're resting their minds and thinking outside of the athletics. Like I always would ask them, well, who are you when the game is over, when the ball is no longer there?
Yeah.
I need you to think about what connections have you made outside of the sport, and what happens if that coach leaves, or if you're no longer the star athlete, or if you're
Yeah.
no longer the starter. Who are you when you're on the bench? Your mindset is everything. And so part of what I do is not only supporting, but it's mentoring, because we are the village.
Yeah, I think people really underestimate the abilities of a great student athlete, because an athlete who's not involved in extracurricular activities, all they got to do is worry about is school. But if you are a student athlete, and then in this day and age, now I've got one child who played 3 years varsity, in college, and tennis, and then my 2 younger children are very active in basketball. And you just think about the demands on that child to be successful on the court, on the field, as well as being successful as an athlete. And that's something people kind of, there's some folks who I think really disrespect that discipline and that ability to balance those out. Talk to us about your perspective now with NIL being a big part, and I'm going to bring Freddie into this conversation here shortly, because I believe he was a student athlete as well in college. The NIL piece, and how has that become a distraction with some of your athletes who may be stellar that you're tutoring, or kind of what's your perspective on that?
So I have not seen NIL, and they're still working out like all of the kinks, and they're still tweaking it as they go along, right?
Mm-hmm.
They opened it up and it became the thing. But I have not seen it be a distraction for the 4 and 5 star athletes that we work with, because it was
Okay.
always there for them. They always knew that they were going, like they already had it. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
like, they were already being put on the shelf. So they already
Mm-hmm.
knew. Students that, I think NIL and the portal has made things harder for the high school athlete, like especially if they've already ruined their brand
Mm-hmm.
on social media. Like, what I need parents to understand, that students to understand, is that if you think NIL is going to be something that you are the path that you're going to go down, or if you're being approached about that you need to make sure you scrub your social media and that you reflect who you are every day in your
Absolutely.
social media, and who you portray yourself to those coaches, because how you
Absolutely.
do one thing is how you do everything. And so parents, that if you have a student that it is not coachable at home, you can work as hard as you want, but if that child is not aligned with, if you don't have a plan in place, or you don't have like a management mindset, and it's all about the money,
Mm-hmm.
you might as well get out now, because it's
Yeah.
not going to last. You're,
Freddie, I'm going to
you're
bring
going to
you
end
into
up
this.
hating what you do.
Go ahead, finish, Amber. I'm sorry. Okay. Amber, I don't know if she can still hear us or not. Freddie, I want to bring you into this conversation because I believe that you were a student athlete as well, right?
Yes, I was. I played football in college.
Okay. And so as we talk about the balance of all of this, because this conversation, for those just tuning in, you're listening or viewing Chamber Live. Our guest today are Freddie Taylor with Urban Intellectuals, who is a marketer of some amazing products, flashcards that are great for your family, not just the students, but for us. Because as I mentioned, there's a lot of information that we were never taught, and we've got to pursue that information on our own. And then Amber Woolfolk, who is the owner of Solve Tutoring, 3 locations in the Atlanta metro, and also tutoring folks virtually. Freddie, Amber, y'all might already know each other. I don't, because from TSP Live. And shout out to Lamar Tyler, Ronnie Tyler, and their group. But let's talk about what we're talking about. Freddie, you just heard Amber talking about student athletes and importance. You were a student athlete yourself. What's your perspective on what you were hearing?
Man, I wish I was a student athlete today. I'll tell you that. That's what we weren't getting no NIL deals or getting money paid out front like that. But
Yeah.
I think it's an amazing opportunity for the athletes. But I think what Amber said was something very critical about for young people, right? Especially young people, because they can soil their reputation on social media and ruin all those opportunities right away.
Hmm.
So it's really about the discipline of reflecting yourself in a positive light in a space that is fun and engaging, but also dangerous to your future career. So I'm worried for young people because the things that they're posting, the things that they're doing in the social media space can have long lasting impact on their lives. So I appreciate the sister for the work that she's doing and trying to educate not only the children but the parents as well.
Yeah, social currency, man. I look at what people are doing in public now, and we always, we're all of similar ages, I'm assuming. Uh, Lord knows, I'm glad there was no social media when I was. But even with that, some of these folks, man, I'm just like, this stuff just doesn't make sense. Why does everybody have to know? Like the sister out there at FAMU just got her master's degree and want to take a picture in front of the snake, the FAMU rattler snake, naked, and she want to scream and holler that this it's cool, this is fine, body positive. I'm like, that's all well and good, sis, but now the people, you got your master's degree, it's time for you to go look for a job. Who wants you teaching their kids in the school that you teaching sex education? I don't understand it. Now, mind you, and this is kind of off subject, but the sister, she wants to be a rapper too, so I blame Meg Thee Stallion for that. but when we get into where we are with what you guys are doing, you guys are both very intentional about serving at the African American community with everything that you're doing, and there's some balance to it, right? And so there's some balance to the mindset that needs to be challenged. Amber, when you think about that mindset, and how often are you trying to share your services with folks, and they, whether it be because they say financially I can't afford it, and you may have some scholarship opportunities or things of that nature. We can talk about that as well. But how often are your services something that gets rejected by people, and you're just like, okay, I got to move on, but because of the love I have, it kind of gets under your skin, I'm assuming.
Okay, so that's a sensitive topic for me, especially as I listen to Freddie talk about how he's not accepting funding and things like that, right? I have not yet turned a student away.
Mm.
If they couldn't afford it, I figure out how do we pay for it? I reach out to business owners and I ask them to donate. I ask people, we have multiple fundraisers throughout the year. And I think that between the balance between paying and the sliding scale, and then the students that get a full scholarship based off the family's situation,
Hmm.
we may have a student that tutored with us the first year in business and paid the entire year. But we had a mom who ended up with stage 4 kidney disease, and she said we have the our student, she began to miss sessions. And so I called mom, she didn't answer. I called her a week later, she didn't answer. So I finally got in contact with her on social media, and I looked, and she had been in the hospital. And I said, bring
Mm.
that baby back and don't worry about it. We've got her covered the rest of the year. And so I found a business that did not mind paying half. They paid half and I paid half out of my own pocket. But I have yet to turn a student away. Students, the only reason that parents can't do it is if they don't have the money. We've not had anybody say I'll pass. And
Mm.
so a thing in our community is pride, right? And so I'll say, well, we have a scholarship, right? You can't say, well, we've got it covered. You have to say we found the funding and that we can help, because
Hmm.
a lot of I always tell parents it's not a handout, it's a hand up.
Hmm.
Because my favorite candies now and later, I always tell them, look, if you're not going to use us now, but you will need us later. Why don't you
Ooh,
go
you
ahead
an
and let
'80s baby with that now or later, boy.
But it's important for me not to turn students away, because if a parent called, they obviously need us, because by the
Yeah.
time they call us, they've needed us for years, but they just finally decided to make the call. A student may be struggling for years before they ever think about tutoring. And that
Yeah.
was the issue about not having a center in our community. When I was growing up, we didn't talk about test prep.
Right.
They told us on Monday, hey, the SATs tomorrow, you guys get in here, make sure you have your calculator. Like, that just wasn't a discussion in my household. Tutoring and
Yeah.
test prep was not a discussion. And
Yeah.
if it was only for the students that lived maybe in another side of town. that had, two household income and had access. And
Yeah.
I wasn't born in that community.
So you guys make sure you guys reach out to Amber, because it sounds like there's some opportunity for you to serve the community through donations to her company to help get some of these kids prepared for the next step. Freddie, how are your flashcards or your products being received well in any charter schools, public schools? Talk to us about how that's going for you.
Yeah, we're definitely moving into the school space, and in fact, we were communicating with, following up with the school district in New York, so in Syracuse. So the Syracuse School District actually ordered 4,000 decks of our Black History flashcards for all of their students. So that was a
Wow.
pretty big order for us. That was wonderful. So obviously, we want to duplicate that over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just really refreshing to see these administrators being serious about the inclusion of Black folks in history to our young people, because it's so critically important. In addition, we have an arm of our business called the Black Math Genius Program, where we've actually introduced a tutoring element of mathematics, right? But our principle behind Black Math Genius is melding history with culture. Because we found that when little Black boys and little Black girls find out that mathematics came from them,
Mm-hmm.
not the Greeks, they tend to lean into the process a little bit more. Their mind is blown initially,
Yeah.
and then they're like, what? And then we give them the documentation and we go into the history of it all. And now they're sitting up a little bit straighter. They're understanding that this science comes from them. So not only can they do it, we expect you to, right? So I believe in raising the expectations on children, right? Like, we have high standards as a people. We always have for hundreds of thousands of years on this planet, right?
Yeah.
So we have
Yeah.
to get back to that. Which the sister, I'm going on now, but the sister asked
That's
me
all
about
right.
16.
That's all right.
Yeah, she asked me about the 1619 project, and I love what they did for the project. My issue with it is it stops at 1619. We are people that are much older than that. And we
Mm-hmm.
need to understand what was happening before colonization, before other people started to control our destiny and control our history, because then you got to figure out what happened. What were you doing before and what happened? That's a very important element, not just the result from 1619 on, which is important in itself, but we need to go back before, right? Our history didn't start with slavery. Slavery has actually interrupted Black history, right? So we have to start teaching in that framework so that we can piece this thing together. And coming back to mathematics, when children find that out, you can't stop them. Once they get engaged in it and they figure out that they can do it and it's in their history, you can't stop them. So we love to bring those two things together inside Black Math Genius Program.
Man,
And
I'm
can I
so
pick
glad. Go ahead, Amber.
And so, Freddie, I saw you had talked about the confidence factor, right? If we have our students out there and we're not teaching them, do you think, a confident student is a engaged student in the classroom? And so what we've got to work on, our children have taken a hit. Like, they've taken a hit in the classroom. They've been taking a hit in the classroom. The pandemic it's been happening longer than the last 3 to 4 years. Equity in education is huge. That's one of the reasons why I refuse to go away. That's why I refuse to turn students away when their parents can't afford it, because even though the parent is my client, the student is a customer. And so I want to make sure that we are very, very clear that our children have taken a hit academically, their confidence, and they got to know where they come from so that they need to see people like us. They can't be what they don't see. And so, having spaces like this where we're doing things like this, like I'm on vacation. I know I probably have a bad reception right now. I'm on Hilton Head, but we brought these cards on vacation. And I said, Freddie, I got these cards at TFP Live, and, it's the volume 2 of women. We're talking about how do we build up the confidence in our girls. Black women and girls, they're committing suicide at alarming rates, and it's because they don't feel good enough. They're not confident. We've got to build our girls up around STEM, math. It's huge. And so, Freddie, I love everything that you're doing, and just you inspire me.
Oh,
So,
thank you. I appreciate that.
Man, how does that feel, brother? Here's the thing: the pride in my heart that I know someone who's doing this type of work, and there's plenty of people out here who are doing things, but I'm very intentional about, doing business with as many Black folks as I know. But then if I know you personally, I'm definitely bigging you up. But how does that make you feel that you're making that level of difference in people's lives with your product?
Man, that's really the beauty and the joy, right? Like people talk about the size of the company and and all of that good stuff, but it's the letters that we get from the parents, right? Y'all know I call her Gladys. I don't know if you know our avatar, but Gladys love the products, right? But when we get that feedback, like Amber just did, right? Like that's really what milks our heart. That's really what drives our spirit. Like I can't wait to share that comment. Looking at my second screen and share that comment with the team, right? Because that's what really keeps us going, right? It's just so exciting to know that something that we have a strong passion for is really making an impact in people's lives. And I just know we're just getting started, right? Like we're just getting started, right? We're not even taking funding. So
Yeah.
we got
Raquel,
ways.
jump in if you have anything. I just want to make sure I give you opportunity to jump in.
No, I'm good. I think the only thing that I had was for Amber, if she could tell us a success story, but and then also was thinking about, do you only supplement or do you have like full-time students that you provide complete wraparound tutoring for?
So, first we'll start with the success story, and it's around the SAT. Over the past couple of years, students have been saying, "Oh, we're going to use the waiver. We don't need scores because they're not asking for them." Well, we had a particular student who had about a $5,000 financial gap in between going to a HBCU and not going, right? Her mother was saying, well, if you don't get the money you need, you're going to a local college because in Georgia, if you have a 3.0 or better, you can go to college for free. And so she was like, well, you haven't done what you need to do. So she came back to us. The young lady, she invested in herself, and she took our 8-week test prep session, and she increased her score by 100 points and was able to gain access to a local, I think it was like an AKA scholarship, but there were some local scholarships that she was able to qualify that helped close the gap, and she got accepted to Spelman College, which was her dream school. And so
Awesome.
things like that make it the reason why I refuse to give up. Like when we're having a hard time, I'm up late at night applying for grants because we are accepting funds. Unlike Freddie, we are accepting.
I'll take grant money. I'll take grant money.
We're looking, we're looking for investors in all things because you just need that. And so I'm a one-woman shop. I don't have a business partner. We didn't have investors. I put some chairs and tables together. I opened a location. That location made money. We opened the next location, and it's been kind of that thing. But then the pandemic hit, and it kind of knocked us off our feet because again, the first thing to go away in certain communities is anything extra, and this is considered extra, but I don't think it's extra. I think it's critical. The other thing is the wraparound support services. Yes, we provide all wraparound support for students. So we have the two programs. One is called the Full Ride, which is for student athletes. It's a 10-month commitment where we hold your student's hand from August to May. And we focus on tutoring, test prep, academic coaching. We help them set up their college application review. We help them with volunteer hours, and even internships. So I'm working with business owners that are in the Atlanta Black Chamber, helping expose students in their off season. They already are lined up with volunteer opportunities quarterly throughout the year to help get to that 100 or 200 hours that they need. And just helping them with SAT prep, like it's a plug and play type deal. And then our other support is for students that aren't student athletes that just need to get their core curriculum, the weighted GPA up. It's called the core. So the core, and then the full ride for the student athletes. And so it's for the student or the family that is intentional about where they're trying to go and having a strategic plan around how to get there. That includes accountability. So we're staying on students. We're making sure that they have the support that they need. When they're bumping heads with their teachers or their parents and they've shut down for everyone else, they open up for us. And so that's critical, making sure that you have someone to talk to, like, being able to say, okay, I'm having challenges, and not being attacked. I want parents to understand it's important to encourage, not discourage through your words. We can sometimes get down on our students and not realize that we're building a brick wall between them and their success, their path to success.
Freddie, talk to us real quick as someone who was a college athlete. I don't know if you had this type of support when you were high school going into college, and how much that would have made a difference to you as a college athlete.
Yeah, I'm the wrong person. I had that type of support. I guess I was on the other side of the tracks now, but my parents sacrificed and put me into a Catholic school in high school. and we had those types of programs getting ready, prepared, going into college. Everybody was college ready. I graduated in the middle of my class, right? I was like number 124 out of like 250 students or something like that. And when I got to college, like them first 2 years was a repeat. Like it was boring. It was easy. I didn't have remedial math. I went right into the calc classes. Like I was just ready and prepared. So I just know it makes a world of difference for student athletes, or for all students, actually, not just student athletes, but you got to get your children ready ahead of time so that they can thrive and excel. College is a big enough challenge in itself.
Yeah.
So if you got to sweat and worry about the academics, man.
Well, tell us about, you were set up good, but tell us about a teammate that you remember that you felt that you hoped that they had this type of support.
Oh man, it was way too. It was most of them, right? Yeah. Most of them come in. They had to go on. I don't even know what it's called because I didn't come in through that path where they had to either come early,
kind of remedial.
Yeah, the remedial classes, and they were listening to their math classes. I'm like, what is that? Like, but they had to take a few classes before they had an opportunity to come into the college level ready classes, and they were just struggling, like time day in and day out, week in and week out. It's far too many to name one, right?
Yeah.
I remember my freshman year. This is a pretty good story. And I played defensive back, right? And I'm in there my freshman year, and one of the seniors grabbed me. He said, "Freddie, look around at all these lockers and all these black men that are in here." He said, out of all these black men, about 5 to 10% are going to graduate. So you got to decide, are you going to be in that? Because they're either failing out academically or, character-wise, they're doing something that infringed upon their scholarship and they're not being renewed. So most people don't know your scholarship ain't 4 years when you sign up. It's 1 year.
1 year at a time.
They have the opportunity. It's 1 year at a time.
That's it.
So you can't lose it for a lot of reasons.
There's some folks in the chat asking us to drop the name. This is Freddie. You're gonna take care of that? Okay, great. So Urban Intellectuals is it's a company Freddie Taylor owns, and Solve Tutoring is the company that Amber Woolfolk owns. Man, I appreciate y'all, man. This has been so informative. So before we go, share your if there's any products you're pushing or that you're now going, and let's do that before we drop off. Amber, we'll let you go ladies first.
So Solve Tutoring is currently, we have test prep coming up for SAT and ACT, especially if you're a junior or senior. We're looking for upperclassmen that need to get the scores. I need parents to understand that they will be required this upcoming school year. Do not sit back and think that the test prep is going away or the SAT or ACT is going away until it actually happens. I would prepare to be prepared. Like, do not wait until the last minute. Many students need 8 to 12 weeks of prep. Do not, if your child needs 100 hours of Joshua class and driving before you put them in a $5,000 or $10,000 vehicle that's used and been passed down from the family, why would you just put your child in the driver's seat for a college education that on average costs $120,000, right?
Right.
Prepare your child for greatness, and they need prep. They can't. Well, that huge book is very intimidating, and what we do is we break it down and give them tips and strategies, not tricks, because you can't. I don't believe in tricking the test. I believe in really learning the material and making sure that you understand what's happening. And our tutoring kicks off April 15th and then April 22nd. We'll have 2 rounds of kickoffs, and that will allow, we offer one-on-one tutoring, one-offs here and there, but the program is where we really see benefit. And we'll be reopening for face-to-face this school year. So we've already had the centers scrubbed down. They're ready. They're disinfected. They've got everything. We're ready. We're up and running. We're ready to receive students starting on the 15th of August.
We appreciate you, Freddie.
Yeah, well, I didn't talk about it, but you mentioned we're taking people to Africa, right? So we're doing Black History travel experiences through our travel movement. So you can check us out at urbanintellectuals.com/travel. We have 3 trips planned this year. We have 15 planned for next year. So we're bringing the history alive. We're taking a step beyond the flashcards and going to the actual places that we're talking about, and we're showing you the origins of our history. So again, check us out, urbanintellectuals.com/travel. But I want to drop a new product first to see it here on your show, right? We're doing Black History playing cards with facts and quotes. So these is actually be released tomorrow. We say spades will never be the same again. So if you go to urbanintellectuals.com/spades, you can check us out, right? So each of them have a theme.
I'm about to drop my address. I need that pack. I need the pack for the Spades game. That's beautiful, brother.
Yeah,
Wow.
spades will never be the same again, right? Check out our Black History flashcards. Playing cards, excuse me. Again, you can check us out, urbanintellectuals.com/spades, right? That offer officially opens tomorrow. You can check us out. We only got 2,000 decks, and we've been selling to our VIPs through our email, but you should see some more coming tomorrow. You'll see those ads flooding your Facebook streams.
Absolutely. But Freddie, Amber, thank you so much for your time and sharing with us today. I think our audience has been very receptive to your information. And Freddie, we got to get you involved with the chamber over down here in Atlanta. I know you up I think you're in Chicago, Illinois. But you know, we got members all over the world. So you come on out and hang with us, man. We got plenty of opportunities for you to to get engaged with us.
Don't threaten me with a good time, brother.
All right, I appreciate y'all. All right, so next I want to make sure we give a shout out to a few of our business owners. Trisha Jones, Business Building Resume, Commercial Aviation, businessbuildingresume.com. We want to make sure we give her a shout out. And she ain't playing with y'all. She got another business that she has with her husband, Venues to Go. They're both down here in the South Metro doing their thing, and they know about all the venues out here in the South Metro, and so they're doing a great job of that. Remember what we said as far as opportunities. There are opportunities. Email us at communications@AtlantaBlackChambers.org. Looks like I lost Raquel, so I'm gonna go ahead and go to this here because look like we lost Raquel. So great show today. We appreciate everybody. We appreciate Amber and Freddie and everything that they brought to our conversation today. We were on Facebook and YouTube today. And so if you want to look at the replay of the show today, you can go on Facebook or YouTube to check. There we go. We got the fly girl Raquel back. And so you can go on either platform. She got a church finger up. What you got, Rob?
I just want to talk about Biz Savvy Artist Academy and plug a couple of other events.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is August, so that is this month. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so just a couple of things that are going on this month in the chamber. The Financial Services Committee is having their social. Each of the committees have socials. I know that the Real Estate Committee meets at Top Golf, and so does the veterans. We're having a webinar on retirement plans, so take a look for that. And then the Veteran-Owned Business Certification Program that we're doing in conjunction with GCA. Look out for that. But I just want to take a moment because next month we'll be talking about what happened at Biz Savvy Artist Academy. Biz Savvy Artist Academy is one of the bigger events that comes out of the Arts and Entertainment Committee for the Atlanta Black Chambers. So be on the lookout for that. It was in our Tuesday newsletter. There was a special newsletter dedicated to the Arts and Entertainment community today that just talked about Biz Savvy Artist Academy. I wanted to make sure I dropped those things. One thing I want to say, Miguel, is whenever we have guests, I get hashtag and t-shirt ideas. I mean, prep to be prepared, you know, things that Amber was saying. And of course, Freddie was dropping a lot of like hashtags, even though Gladys is his avatar, but he's like, Gladys loves
he slipped that right in there. For people who don't know what he's talking about, avatar is that what is your ideal customer? What is the profile of your ideal customer? And Freddie calls his Gladys. So that's the first thing we all need to find out. Yours can't be Gladys because Freddie already got that one. So find your own avatar. But anyway, great show today, man. Thank you for all of our guests and for the people who've been jumping in the venues and jumping in the comments. And so we will definitely see you guys next month. Peace.